Today being your Father's Day in your area, on your planet, in your culture, and being the title of the State of the Union, and in honoring both of these concepts, the transmission for the first part, as we have already said, will be delivered by my father. One moment. I have been a first contact specialist for 1,000 of your years. I have interacted with over 300 civilizations in that time. 157 of those civilizations have gone on to have first contact with us. 48 of those have become part of what we term our interstellar alliance. As you can tell from what we have just said, not all civilizations with whom we make first contact will necessarily continue to have relations with us by their choices. By their collective consciousness, they choose other paths from time to time. But we will always accept the invitation of those, such as yourselves, who send out the vibrational energy that invites us to make contact with you in this way. And we will, through many different methodologies, deliver the information to you in such a manner as to give you the opportunity to decide what is true for you and whether you wish to continue to interact with us or others like us. At this timing, we will explain to you some of the methodologies that are utilized in our assessment of our first contact protocols. Because this day, at this timing, you have arrived as a civilization at a point that is common for many civilizations who have begun the process of contact with us. We refer to this particular moment in a way that would translate into your language as the 88-22-10 scenario. The 88-22-10 scenario is described as follows. There will be certain collections of probabilities that will build up to a certain point. Beyond that, at this point, the information is relatively extraneous. And so an 88% probability is the maximum that we can read at this time, for many things are still in flux. The 22% probability represents the opposite of what we may tell you about the 88% probabilities. You will notice that this adds up to more than 100%. But this is not the way that we calculate these things. The 88% is from 0 up. The 22% is from 100% backwards, thus leaving what you would call a 10% overlap, in which many unexpected things can occur and change the course radically of events as we read them now. Remember that what we are about to tell you is energy as it exists at this moment, now that you have reached this point in your civilization, which is common to many civilizations, once they have received a certain amount of information from us or others like us. Thus, you have an opportunity to recognize that what we are about to say are not what you call classically predictions in your understanding of this, but again, a reading of the energy as it exists at this moment, maxing out, as you say, at 88th percentile, with a 22% probability of going in exactly the opposite direction and a 10% overlap of something completely unexpected happening, taking you in a completely different course. Therefore, read clearly, understand clearly what we are about to say. As we read your energy at this time, politically, you have in your culture an 88% probability of having what you would term a female presidency. You have then, therefore, a 22% probability of the opposite happening and a 10% probability of something completely unexpected taking place. Politically, you have an 88% probability within your next 4 years of a major terrorist action taking place on your globe. This will occur in probability at this point, regardless of the previous 88% probability of your political election. One moment. Economically, you have an 88% probability over the course of the next 2 years of having what you have termed a major financial and economic adjustment in your system. In terms of first contact, over the next 4 years of your time, you have an 88% probability of proving to yourselves in one way, shape, or form that life exists beyond your world, thus increasing the probabilities of the window for contact beyond that year. Ecologically, over the course of the next 5 of your years to 10 of your years, you have an 88% probability still of a particular oceanic ecosystem experiencing total collapse. Again, you have at this point a 22% probability of the opposite happening and a 10% probability of something completely unexpected occurring and taking you in a completely different direction. Technologically, between your time that you consider to be your present and your year of 2025, you have an 88% probability of discovering a new technology that will allow you at a more accelerated rate to shift over to the utilization of non-damaging technologies for the generation of power. One moment. Politically, there is an 88% probability that if the first 88% probability is fulfilled, that you will experience a radical shift in what you would call your two-party system of politics. As you have begun to see, it may begin to shift more earnestly into a three-party system. One moment. Again, understand the concept of these probabilities, both the 88% and the 22% and the 10. This is a different formulation than you have utilized before with your understanding of such things. And therefore, there is an 88% probability that 88% of you will misinterpret what we have said. Therefore, allow yourselves to go with your flows, to be yourselves as fully as you can. There will be more of this information delivered within the next year or two of your time as you begin to enter the 88-22-10 phase of this process of contact, and allow yourselves more opportunity to see more clearly the paths you have laid out for yourselves, both individually and collectively. In having mentioned to you that not all civilizations contacted continue on to the idea of open contact or the joining of our alliance, we thus encourage each and every one of you to take stock in your own minds, your own hearts, your own spirits, to decide what is true for you, and to begin to put forth into your society in a more active way the ideas, the realities, the concepts that you prefer, which will then radiate outward from your world in a manner that we will perceive as your decision and your choice with respect to your relations to us. And also, as of this moment, in my being, what you would recognize, though not exactly in the way you understand these things, as my self being in our family lineage, the head of the Council of First Contact Specialists. That, as of this moment, will now shift to my son. I will go on to many things in terms of the coordination and organization of such contact should it occur. But in this moment of 88, 22, and 10, being this place that you have arrived, this energy, this frequency you have now arrived at, this shift is necessary for the entity that you have termed Bashar, that which is one of my sons, being then the main being from our family lineage of contact specialists that will guide you the rest of the way. We have and will continue to be involved in a variety of ways. But this shift is now timely for a variety of reasons we will go into at another time. We extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation and gratitude for your willingness to open your hearts and minds to us and to extend the invitation which we have answered and will continue to answer for as long as you choose. But it is in your hands and no one else's at this point in your evolution toward becoming the sixth hybrid race. We thank you for your strength. We thank you for your power. we thank you for your boldness and your creativity. Do not lose sight of those qualities within yourselves, for they will guide you as a beacon the rest of the way. And you, by continuing on that path, will awaken, and you will eventually come home.